Don't know. Right. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the first Teen Summit Talks. Today, I'm joined by my wonderful friends who are also teachers. And the objective of this talk today is to share our experiences of working abroad. So we all work in Qatar. And yeah, it's just really just to share with you what it's like living here, why we've moved here. So first of all, I'll tell you a little bit about myself. I'm an art teacher. Prior to coming here, I was working in inner city schools. I'm the founder of Teen Summit Seminar. So I set up summits in the UK from Qatar. And yeah, I've been here for a year and a half and I absolutely love it. So first of all, I'm going to introduce you to all of the ladies today. So they will say a little bit about themselves and then I will ask them all questions. So hopefully you'll get something from it and you will enjoy the conversation. So first of all, I'll start off with Rhoda. If you can just say a little bit about yourself.
Hello, my name is Rhoda Fisher. I have been working here in Qatar at the same school for 6 academic years. So I came out in 2014 and I've been here ever since. And yes, I teach art and design. I'm also the head of faculty for creative arts, which includes art and design and music. And that's me.
Deanne.
My name's Deanne Burke and I have been in Qatar for 3.5 years. Before that, I worked in Tanzania for 3 years. I teach reception, which my pupils are 4 and 5 years old, and I really enjoy it here.
Muna.
Hi, my name is Muna. I started the same time as Keisha, so this is my 2nd year here in Qatar. As well, I'm teaching in inner city London schools. So that's been mostly my experience, and so yeah, I find myself in Doha now. Okay,
thank you. All right, brilliant. So the first question is, what was your experience, your teaching experience like in the UK, Rhoda?
Okay, my teaching experience. So I started teaching at a school, a secondary school. It was a startup secondary school in Brixton in 2008. Previous to that, I had taught music at a couple of schools, primary schools in Croydon, just for short sessions. But my main task, I think my main one was the secondary school in Brixton. I was an art teacher there. We started the school up in 2008 and I left 2014. So yeah, it was a good experience. I was an unqualified teacher initially, and then during with tenacity and really pushing myself and putting myself out there, I was able to train on the job and do my teacher training and do my NQT year there as well. So yeah, it was a really good experience. Brilliant kids. It was a challenging situation, but yeah, when you just love kids, then you know it's worth your while. There's a number of the students that we're still in contact with, and we keep in contact with. Yeah, so yeah, it was a worthwhile experience. Challenging, but worthwhile.
Thank you. Deanne?
My teaching career started in London, in southwest London, Wandsworth, where I'm from. And I also went to university in London, at Roehampton University. I was working in London for 4 years before, it was 4 years before I moved abroad. And I always taught reception, so it was always the little ones in quite challenging schools. But I really enjoyed it. You know, there's nothing like, you know, teaching a child something new and being present when they're experiencing something new for the first time, you know, planting a seed or tasting an unusual fruit, you know, it was really exciting, especially for those children who have come from quite deprived backgrounds. So being part of that was really lovely. And that's kind of where my experience started before I moved abroad.
Brilliant. Mina?
Yeah, same thing really. So I'm from East London. So my first school was in North London, and then my second school was in East London as well. Again, a very inner London sort of school. It came with its challenges, but I don't think you can find students like that like anywhere in the world. They were absolutely amazing. Of course, there will be difficulties, but you know, helping those students and them getting their GCSEs at the end was always, it always felt like such a accomplishment. And again, you, like Rhoda mentioned, you keep in contact with a lot of these students. They weren't just your students for a certain time, they kind of stay with you, and those memories stay with you for a long time as well. And it really, honestly, like you can feel a sense of reward having taught in those schools. And yeah, honestly, it was amazing. I enjoyed it a lot. And I noticed I'm sitting on a pillow, so I'm going to go down a bit.
Just make sure your other mic is not on the other device as well. That'd be great. A little bit of feedback. Yeah. Right, so challenges of technology in this new challenge that we have at the moment that we're dealing with. All right, so yeah. I was lucky because I worked in the same school as Rhoda in Brixton. And that was my first main school that I can say that I really worked at. Same situation as Rhoda. I was unqualified when I first started, and I think the most important thing is if you have a team, a senior team, a really good head teacher that believes in you, they will push you and they will invest in you, and that's exactly what happened for both of us. And I would say that experience was like training ground for me. I think once I managed to work in an environment like that school, I was able to work anywhere else because of what I learned from there. So I'll never ever will, forget the experience that I had at that particular school in Brixton. It was absolutely amazing. It really, really was. Okay, so it leads to my second question. So I want you guys to share the reason why you left the UK to work abroad. So what was your main reasons for making that big move? You're gonna go, Rhoda?
Yeah. So what happened is, as Keisha said, our school, the previous school that we were at, everybody was really close because the majority of staff had started at the same time, and we all shared our experiences. And what had happened is two of our teachers had decided to work abroad. They decided to move to the United Arab Emirates to work. And because of our relationship, they would come in and we would ask them, how's everything getting on? How's everything going? And so forth. And that really prompted me to explore the opportunity to work abroad. I had never worked abroad. I go abroad, yes, I travel abroad, but I had never worked abroad to teach. And so when the two colleagues, they handed their notice and then they left, and we kept in contact with them to see how they're getting on. And then I thought, I was in my NQT year, and I thought, you know what, I would really, really like to try and do that. I would like to work abroad. And it was just about an experience, a different experience. Previous to that, the summer before, I was in Jamaica with my family, and my brother and myself were talking about working abroad and the opportunities to work abroad. And he's also a teacher as well. And we made a pact, the two of us made a pact and said, you know, let's do it. Let's get planning, and let's do it. Let's be brave. And so, yeah, that was opportunity. I thought it would be just a great opportunity to do. I just thought it'll be nice. And if it doesn't work, then I'll come back. But I thought I'll just come back, you know, and that. But if it works out, it will be great. So that's the reason why I decided to leave. It was the experience that other people had, an opportunity. You know, I'd seen that there was a lot of opportunity for teachers to teach abroad, and I thought, why not? Let's just try it.
Yeah, I agree. Tian?
For me, it was a bit different. I wanted to be a teacher from the age of 6. And so my whole life, I was like, I just want to be a teacher. I need to, you know, get my good year 6 SATs results so that I can get into a good secondary school. And then I need to get a good year 9 results so that I can choose my options for GCSEs. And so I was always very focused from a young age. But it wasn't until I was maybe in year 7, year 8 that I realised that you could teach abroad. And I used to say to my family, like, oh, I want to teach in Africa. I really want to teach in Africa. But my parents were very supportive of that. But my grandparents were cautious, which is quite unusual considering that they moved to the UK from Jamaica to London in 1962, before the internet, before, you know, expat blogging sites and, you know, all of these resources we have now, before WhatsApp. You know, my grandma would send a letter to her mother and it would take 6 months to arrive. It would take 6 months to get from London to Jamaica. So I couldn't quite understand even then why she was saying, no, don't do it. But I think they wanted to keep me close. But anyway, I digressed a little bit. After university, I was working in London and I was enjoying my time, like I said before, except there was a lot of pressure from Ofsted and a pressure from the school to perform. And I wasn't really getting that work-life balance. And I wanted more. I knew there was more out there to do, and I knew that I could help other students in different places. So initially, I applied for a job to be a tutor for the Harry Potter studios, the studios where Harry Potter was being filmed. I was shortlisted, but unsuccessful. And then that kind of made me think, okay, let me try something a bit different. Let me dip my toe in those foreign waters. And so I ended up getting a job in Tanzania in East Africa. And I was there for 3 years. So I actually achieved my goal of working abroad and teaching in Africa. And I absolutely loved it. But then I had certain challenges, mainly the distance between Tanzania and London, as to why I moved to Qatar, because it's a little bit closer and a bit easier to get home. So that's my kind of story of why I moved abroad.
Brilliant, thank you. Muna?
I think for me it's a bit different because my mom's always wanted me to work abroad. So coming from a Somali background, it's sort of like looked up to work in the Gulf, particularly Saudi, Dubai. And so I've been to Dubai a couple of times, but I didn't enjoy my time there. So I thought I definitely want to work in a place like Qatar. It's also like a Muslim environment. And I thought it'd be quite nice to actually be quite submerged in a Muslim environment as well. But having said that, like, I know that some people often tend to go abroad. And it's sad when they blame students in London, their behavior, oftentimes on their reasons as to why they're going. As for my reasons, it definitely, without a doubt, wasn't like in terms of students or anything like that. Anything like that's the reason why I stayed in my last school for so long. Like, it was so hard to leave. Like, every time I was like, okay, I'm going to do it this year. I'm going to do it this year. But, you know, thank God, like, this opportunity came along when it did. And I got to see my year 11s off. But yeah, I'll be honest with you, my main reason was definitely to get financial stability as well, in terms of being out of London, which has been quite expensive. Also, just to gain more experiences, being in the Middle East, you're also closer to other countries and other destinations, definitely towards Eastern Asia and so forth. And yeah, that's really what some of my reasons as to why I came here.
Yeah, I think with mine as well, I think financially, yeah, that was obviously a bonus. Working in the country was tax-free. Although the job that I was in London was paying really well. For me, it was really about pushing myself, setting a new challenge. I felt quite stagnant in my life. And I also wanted to prove to others that I can step out of my comfort zone. And also to set an example to my son as well, to show him that there is more to life than just staying in one place. And I feel satisfied that I've done this. I really do. I feel like now I feel a lot more confident that I can take on new challenges and new targets for myself, 100%. So before we all moved out here, there was lots of things that we had to deal with before leaving. And I would say that one of my biggest challenges, and the reason why I will start off with mine first is because Muna touched on it. One of the things that was stopping me from leaving was the kids. Like when I told my tutor group that I was leaving, I did a video presentation for them. And at the end of the video presentation, it was, I'm leaving. And none of them read it. So I was like, guys, and they were all silent. And then I had to explain to them, look, I'm leaving. And then I started crying because they were disappointed, They kind of felt like every form tutor that they had was leaving. And I had to show them that it had nothing to do with them. It was about me setting a target for myself. And it's exactly the same thing that we say to our students, that they are supposed to be bold and courageous and go out in the world and try new things. And I think as teachers, we also need to demonstrate that that is possible. So it was more of a personal challenge for myself. So the question is, what is the biggest challenge you had making the decision to leave the UK? So we'll start with Rhoda, Deanne, and then Muna again.
I mean, the biggest challenge, obviously, if you know me, is the fact that I'm leaving my family. My siblings, as Muna says, we're all a mirror image of each other. But yeah, it was that challenge. And if I'm really honest, if my brother Trevor, if he didn't move to Colombia, I would have found it very difficult to leave, because there would have been 4 of them there and then me one over here. But Trevor being brave and going, well, actually he said that I suddenly got a job, and then it prompted him to, put the wind up him to get on and sort out his job and what he was doing. But yeah, the 2 of us moved at literally the same time, within months of each other. But yeah, that would be it. My parents at the time were in the Caribbean. They had retired back to Jamaica and that. And so yeah, it was that challenge. And my cousins, and my friends, that was it. But really, the real crux of it was I was going to be leaving my siblings, and that was a challenge. That was really hard. Really hard. But I just knew that I wanted to go and do it. And as Deanne said, you've got WhatsApp, and you've got video calling, and you've got aeroplanes, and they've all come over, and we've come over. But yeah, that was the biggest.
We get our half terms, we get a break every 7 to 8 weeks, and it's like we travel during that time. And then we get our flight allowances, so financially that's not an extra burden on us to fund our trips, so we're quite lucky with that. I hear you.
I would say my biggest challenge was the same as yours, Rhoda. Actually, it was leaving my family and my closest friends, and leaving them at a time where they were at a point in their lives where things were changing. They were getting married or having children, and I found that is still an issue. But at the time, that was quite hard. You know, I left London 3 months after my best friend had got married. I was her maid of honor. She bought a house, but I wasn't there I wasn't there when she got the keys, you know. So it was really, that was probably my biggest challenge, is leaving people behind and knowing that they will be trying to reach their own goals and things will be happening in their life and I won't be part of it. That was challenging. And also for me and my immediate family, I left a month before my sister left home for university. So my mum had both me and my sister. We were very close in the house. And then, my sister moved to Coventry. I moved to Tanzania. That was hard. And just not being able to support her the way I would do if I was there. And when I moved to Tanzania, WhatsApp was around, but it wasn't as good as it is now. There was no video calling on it. It was just messaging. And Skype was about, and Skype was very good, but the Wi-Fi wasn't very strong where I lived. So it was hard to communicate. And I did know that it would be hard, but that was a big challenge at the start. Now it's fine, but then it's touch and go.
Yeah, thank you.
I would have said literally, I don't think it hit me. I swear to you, I don't think it hit me. I was like, I'm going to go, and then I'm going to go abroad. And the whole time I'm like, yeah, don't worry, guys, we'll be in touch. I've got holidays and whatnot. But I swear to you, it hit me when one of my students, like, even when I think about it now, like, it just gets me really upset. She goes, Miss, you're not going to be here. Like, she just broke down crying. And then I was like, oh my God, I'm leaving. Oh my God, what am I doing? Like, it just really hit home then. And I'm just sort of like that. I think it just, as the time came close, I was like, okay, you know, I am going to miss everyone. I'm going to miss my routine. I'm going to miss the freedom that I have in London. But I think when the time came, like, I definitely realized it was the best decision, because I felt very, like Keisha mentioned, I just felt really stagnant. I felt like things were the same for so long that I needed something new as well. And I got on that plane, and then I was like, oh my God, this is really happening. And then that's it, really. You just go with it from there. That's really as much as you can do. But if anything, you don't miss people. If anything, your relationships with people back home become stronger because you're not there as often. So I knew that with my family, it's not like you miss them, but you become closer in a better way as well. So
yeah, I agree with you. I think when I got on the plane, I was on the phone to my aunt and I was crying on the phone. I was in tears because it was just like, it hit me when I got on the plane. But when I got off the plane, I was like, I know I've done the right thing.
And your glass is steamed up, yeah? Your glass is steamed up.
Yeah, my glass is steamed up because it was 40 degrees. You know, I thought, okay, I've got to get used to this.
You're like, Keisha, I think you were gonna be crying from before, because I remember texting you to check you. No, I remember texting you saying, "Are you gonna be all right? You should have someone coming to the airport." You're like, "No, because I'll just cry." No, like, get someone and get me to the airport.
Yeah, because you have to plan it all out, don't you? Because it's like you plan it. Okay, who's taking you to the airport? How are you going to cope with saying goodbye? Because I'm terrible. I mean, I can go to Manchester for a month and be crying to leave to go to Manchester, you know. So
and I saw you at the airport.
Yeah, you did. Amina was behind me. Obviously, we didn't know each other then. My son took me to the airport, and but it was hard. Yeah, she was my partner. But yeah, it was. It definitely was challenging, 100%. So above all of the challenges, what are the pros what are the things that are really beneficial to working in Qatar or abroad?
I mean, it ranges, you know, if you want to talk about, so my experience, I was blown away when I came to the school. And our previous head teacher, our previous principal called it a whoop whoop school because the kids kept going whoop whoop when they were celebrating things. And we had an assembly and they were introducing the teachers and the kids were going ballistic. No, they were going ballistic.
Wow.
And screaming and jumping up and down and banging and all that. And they were whoop, 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 because, you know, we were coming. So we were kind of feeding into it and like, hey, I was like, come on. And they were like, wah. It was amazing. It was such a brilliant start. And, you know, as a teacher, I believe that if you have a good relationship with your kids, if you love your kids, if you love kids and you come into this position as a teacher and you take it seriously and you love your kids, they're gonna know, and they're gonna know straight away. And I loved these kids when they were just absolutely brilliant. I mean, I was concerned, I didn't know about the cultural diversity of the actual school. I had studied and had looked up about Qatar, but I hadn't seen what the cultural diversity was going to be of the school. And I was extremely surprised and extremely happy when I started teaching and seeing a lovely diversity from around the world. So one of the pros and cons was that it was, you know, the diversity of the students. Working in Qatar and having sunshine literally every single day of the year. It was interesting to have winter. It was interesting to experience different types of seasons. The food is amazing. I enjoy it. It's right up my street. And I like this cultural kind of food. And I like the attitude that you are as a community in whichever way it is, whether it's your immediate family or it's the community of women that you work with, or the teachers that you work with. That was definitely a pro. Yeah, I mean, the fact that we have accommodation that we don't need to pay rent for, and utilities, and other financial benefits. It's good pay, and the fact that you have it's tax-free with your wages as well. So that was quite a few really good benefits as well. Good fun.
For me, I think the pros, I mean, there are so many. But for me, I think the top three would be experiences, travel, and money. So I'll start with experiences. For me, before I left London, I was your regular city girl. I loved commuting to work every day. I loved going through Clapham Junction and being stuffed on trains, and after work being able to go to nice restaurants and rooftop bars, that sort of thing. I was really kind of living that lifestyle. I loved London, that concrete jungle. And then I moved to Tanzania, where it wasn't like that. I was in a small city, and I taught in a very different school, actually. It was an international school where most of the children came from wealthy backgrounds. Their parents were diplomats, lawyers, business owners. So the demographic was very different to South London. And on top of that, my lifestyle changed in that I wasn't going to fancy restaurants anymore at the weekends. I was going on safari. I was sleeping in nice little tents, like glamping, you know, watching lions and leopards, and just so different. So that experience is just such a positive. And then with that, I was able to travel to different places in East Africa, you know, and beyond. I went to South Africa and Kenya, Zanzibar, lots of places that I could travel to because I was based in Tanzania. And I wouldn't have had those experiences or travel experiences, you know, if I was in London. But then also the money part comes into it, in that because the cost of living there was so low, I should say the pay wasn't that good. The pay was actually lower than in London. However, I didn't have to pay for rent. I didn't have to pay for utilities. I didn't have to pay for a travel card because the accommodation was on campus. So I walked to work every day. I didn't have to pay for a TV license, council tax. All of those things were just, they either didn't exist or they were paid for already. So as a result, my disposable income was much higher. Therefore, I was able to share my experiences with my family. I paid for my mum to come out. I took her to the Serengeti. We flew to Zanzibar. You know, my mum saw a lion for the first time in her life. She was shook, but she was just, you know, it was like the time of her life. That was 7 years ago. She still talks about it like we went last week. You know, to be able to share that with her was amazing. The year afterwards, I did the same for my sister. Again, if I was in London, the furthest I could probably pay for everyone to go to would be Mallorca. Being honest, on a teacher's salary, with all of those outgoings, it would have been Palma Nova. There's no way it would have been the Serengeti.
Mine would have been Brighton.
Or a weekend Zanzibar, you know? No way. And then, you know, moving to Qatar, the pay is a bit more, or no, it's a lot more, and also tax-free. I had to pay tax in Tanzania, but it was low. And just like Muna said, you know, being in the Middle East, in the middle of the world, it really does open up a lot more destinations for you to go, to experience. You know, I was able to go to Sri Lanka, like real Asia, as I consider it. You know, I went with Rhoda, we went on safari, we saw Asian elephants for the first time.
I think that's the only thing we saw in it.
Oh, and crocodiles. Lots and lots of crocodiles. Like 5 crocodiles. But yeah, I thrive on experience. And so that's what I've really enjoyed since moving abroad, is just experiencing different things, different cultures, food, people, just being involved in other cultures. There's, you know, I know my own culture as an English person. I know my culture as a Jamaican, but it's interesting to learn about other cultures, how they do things, how it differs to my own kind of melting pot culture itself. So yeah, it is really, really good. And I love being in Qatar because the culture is very rich here. As soon as you step off that plane, you know that you are not in Europe. You know straight away. You know, when it's prayer time, you hear the call to prayer. You know, you have to ask yourself, when was the last time you heard church bells in England, or even a prayer call? You don't hear it. It's missing from our culture. Whereas here, you hear it. You know where you are. At home, I think maybe it's a bit lost a little bit. So it's nice being somewhere where, you know, people are proud of their nationality, of their culture, and they want to share it with others. So yeah, lots of pros. Try being abroad.
Definitely, yeah. I agree with Diane. Honestly, and Rhoda as well, like there's a lot of pros. I think for me though, the main ones were the fact that I'm Muslim and I'm in a Muslim country. So everything's halal, you've got Halal McDonald's, that's the first place where I went to, and you've got like, it's nice hearing the adhan, the call for prayer regularly as well, and also the fact that I'm able to comfortably wear like the long abaya as well in the street, because here that's like the fashion essentially. So it's sort of like in terms of like culture, religion, there's a lot of things that I can relate to, that I can comfortably do here. And other pros that I can think of is definitely, like Diane said as well, the experiences. Like, it's been so nice meeting new people from different backgrounds, from, you know, like just coming together. You learn a lot from different people's experiences and sharing them with yourself as well. I've met some really nice people out here, really amazing in terms of like shaping your things, ideas that you have, perceptions that you have would definitely be squashed as well. I'd also say the school has also provided its own new challenges in terms of really it's a privilege to be teaching these kids. You know, they are really kind kids, but also you know, the challenges that we are facing as well. Okay, how can we adapt our teaching? How can we change certain things that are that we normally did in London, that we sometimes took for granted? You don't have to do 10 minutes on data. You don't have to spend certain length of time on certain topics. And I liked that I was growing as a teacher. That's also definitely a pro. And on top of that, if, you know, I was actually telling my students as well, my old students, when I spoke to them in London, they were asking me as well, like, Miss, what else is there? I'm like, honestly, it's just nice to have that independence, that, you know, that ability to go to different countries and to visit different places, to have your own space, to not have letters come through your letterbox. Because guess what? There is no letterbox. And literally, it's things like that. Like, there's no, you know, it's so many things that were so normal to us in the UK that you don't even think of them as a benefit here. But when you come here, you're like, wait a minute, there's no letters, there's no bailiffs, there's nothing, like, you know. Like,
I think there are bailiffs.
Yeah, there might be. I don't want to find out. But yeah, it's things like that. Little things that you appreciate, you know. And
reading.
Yeah. Maybe
okay, let's not talk about that.
With your internet bill, you just get a text message, and next minute there's an internet. There's not even a day's grace. It's cut off.
I should say.
Don't ask me how we know that.
We should.
Anyways, let's not talk about phone bills.
Pay your bills here.
Oh goodness, I'll tell you.
Sorry, I was going to say, if you don't pay your bills here and they amount to a large total, you can't leave the country. So actually, there are no bailiffs. You just can't leave. You can't go on holiday. You can't go home. So you can't leave debt in this country.
Yeah. I think it emphasizes that you have to be true to your word. So if you sign up for a contract, the contract says that you have to pay the bill every month, or you have to pay it when it's due, whatever it is. And so if you decide that you're not going to go and do that, they'll penalize you that way. And you know that's an emphasis of being true to your word. And that's what we forget. You know, exactly what Muna says. You know, the things that you feel are essential in the UK, over here you realise that it's a little bit different. And that's what it is. It's different. It's completely different.
It's safe. And it's also really, really safe. That's another thing as well. Like, you don't have to worry about like your handbag or anything like that. I've left my handbag in a shopping cart, and literally I'll be walking around the whole shop. I'll come back to it. No one's even looked at it. And if I tried that in the UK, it would be gone. Everything would be gone. So it's that. It's the safety as well. The fact that as a woman, you can walk around at any time. Not that you can't do that in the UK, but it's definitely safer.
I agree. I would say for me as well, financially, being able to help others back at home, financially as well. I think that's been really rewarding. And it's just, you just appreciate things a lot more. You appreciate the fact that you have got the financial stream to do that. And it doesn't mean that you become careless with money. It just means that you can see that there's a way of saving and there's a way of making plans and being ambitious with your finances and stuff like that. So yeah, it has been life-changing. It really has been. And of course as well, you know, when you think about the private medical care that we get here, knowing that if we need medical attention, that we can get that from the private care that we have here, which is amazing. And also the hospitality here, I've never seen anything like it. So it's like when you do go home, it feels strange when people are not helping you, because everybody helps here. You know, it's just like, it's quite fascinating that no one will, even when you're doing your food shopping and they pack your bags for you and they put it in your trolley and they walk you to your car and all you need to give them is £2. You know, it's just like, where do you get that? And so for me, the culture and hospitality is amazing. And I do think it's a great country to raise your children, to raise a family, no matter how big or small, because you get to spend a lot of time with them. You know, being able to finish work at 2:30, then you've got the whole day to spend with your family, and there's no travel time. You're literally 5-10 minutes away from school. It's amazing. It really, really is. So that's what I really appreciate and love about being here. So we're just coming down to the last question, because we've answered some of the questions already in the conversations. So what does the next 2 years look like for you all? The big question. What is in store for you within the next 2 years? What's your goals?
Hopefully FIFA 2022.
Yeah. World Cup. Yeah.
I mean, I have never been to so many tournaments and national events as I've been over here. We, you know, I remember one of the first ones I went to was I did the tennis, you know, and you saw you know, the superstars that you would see at Wimbledon, you know, seeing them, you know, getting in for free, you know, seeing the football, seeing the Diamond League, seeing, you know, just loads of things that, you know, was able to experience. Absolutely amazing. But the next 2 years, I'm struggling to grasp what I want to do. I mean, I would definitely like to stay here and continue working. And that's my main goal. And I renew my contract yearly, just to see how it goes. It gives me a little bit of flexibility and that. But ideally, I would love to work here and maybe try and do a full 10 years, maybe, and that. But, you know, we don't know. We make plans, and we have ideas, you know, but we all have to give it and leave it in God's hands, because, you know, things might change. But ideally, I would love to stay here for another 2 years and be financially set so that I can purchase a home. Yeah, and, you know, if there are other things that I want to go and do, like I would love to own a gallery at some point, or run a gallery at some point. So I would love to plan for that and prepare for that and save for that. That would be absolutely fantastic. Yeah, I mean, yeah, 100%. I don't know, but, you know, what I would say is I would love to stay here for another 2 years and save up enough so I can get another place and get the gallery. That would be great, and to continue traveling.
Yes.
Yeah. Continue traveling. That would be great. Yeah.
For me, I'm really not sure. I haven't quite decided yet, which is so unlike me. But I guess, you know, you never really know what's around the corner. I mean, that's partly why we're doing this, because of the pandemic. But ideally, you know, I would like to stay here for a bit longer. I'm still not sure whether that should be a year or 2 years. But then again, you know, in 2 years' time is the World Cup. We've been through so much with this World Cup, as in the preparation, the road diversions, the building work that we've seen. It would be a real shame to go through, to see all of that infrastructure change within the country and not be here for the event. So, yeah, I don't know. Part of me does want to go home. I am starting to miss home now. I've been away for 7, 8 years now. So I feel like it's maybe time to go back home to London, but I need to also save a bit more for a deposit on a property, because that is my big goal, is to buy somewhere at home. So yeah, I might need to stay 2 years, but let's see what happens.
I honestly, 2 years, you put me on the pressure, girl. Honestly, I would like to stay for the World Cup as well, but you know, God willing, we don't know what's going to happen. And this coronavirus has definitely put a lot of things into perspective. I would though like to, like you mentioned, Keisha, like being here it's made it a lot more easier for me to help family back home, and my mom as well. So I definitely just want to focus on continuing to do that. Hopefully establish something for my mom in Somalia as well. And that's all I can think of right now, because yeah, coronavirus has sort of ruined a lot of my plans. So I can't really say what's going to happen. Yeah. I honestly have no idea. God willing, I just hope that it's good, and that we go adventure and we go on more trips, and yeah.
Yeah, I think that's the same for me, really. I think I do see myself staying here for the next 2 years, and then I think next year I will know. What, you don't want me to stay? I definitely will be here for the next 2 years, you know, unless Prince Charming comes and sweeps him off my feet and I'll have to move. I don't know. But ideally, yeah, I'll stay here. I'm happy here. And I think because there's so much free time, it allows you to still explore extra, you know, further studying, you know, setting up businesses elsewhere. So there's still a lot of flexibility outside of teaching. Where in the UK, so much of your time is committed to teaching in the UK that you don't get an opportunity to do anything else. Here, you can do that because you've got the flexibility and you've got the financial element of it as well. But I will say that before I came here to work, I spent a week here with Rhoda and Deanne. Before making that decision, I had my interview 2 days after I arrived from my holiday. And I would like to end this talk by just saying thank you to all of you ladies, because I'm really grateful that despite the fact that I'm away from the closest people that I've had in my life for how many years, that I've been able to come here and have a great connection with people that I've never met prior to moving here. And the way that everyone looks after each other, I think is absolutely amazing. So I just want to say this is an experience in my life that I know I'm never, ever going to forget. Even when I'm in my 80s, I never, ever will forget the time of working in Qatar, meeting and knowing all of you guys, because you have made it 100% better and easy to live here, to be away from family and extended friends. So just want to say thank you, and may it continue.
God willing, honestly, definitely.
Welcome.
Well said, literally. Perfect.
This is where you're supposed to cry now, no tears.
Yeah, I'm just actually fighting back, actually.
Yeah, just thank you to Rhoda as well, because without you encouraging me to take the leap of coming out here, because for the 3 years prior to me coming here, you were like, you need to come. And I just knew that I wasn't ready. And I knew when I was ready was the right time to go. And I was really waiting for God to just be like, now is the time to make the next move in your life. But I know that that wouldn't have happened. I know myself, I wouldn't have gone if Rhoda wasn't here. I know that for a fact. And I think I even left the Brixton job because Rhoda left. Like,
yeah.
I did.
Just following you, Rhoda.
You were there the next year.
No, but I did. I was a foster carer. Well, I went on a sabbatical. I was, but I need to do something different. Yeah. It just wasn't the same, you know. So, and a lot of people don't get an opportunity to say that they meet friends in their jobs that are like family. So I really do appreciate that. So thank you so much, because my life has changed immensely. Yeah. It has changed so much. And I guess that's what life's about, isn't it? It's about how we change the lives of others. And it's not just about the children that we teach, but also the adults around us. And I think if we can think about that more, then our presence in this world will be, you know, just leaving our legacy behind, really. So thank you, ladies. And thank you for being part of this talk. You know, this is going down in history, the first Teen Summit talk.
I will say that it does definitely build confidence, knowing that you can travel. I mean, think about, as I said, think about our parents, you know, and they travelled to whichever country to have us, do you know what I mean, and make a new life for themselves. And it was really funny. Deanne was saying about her gran, because that was the same with my dad. Was like, no, I don't think you should go, until he heard, and this is honest truth, until he heard that it was a Muslim country, he was like, yes, okay, no problem. So because he was like, no, I don't think you should travel. And I'm like, yeah, but you did it, and you were younger than me.
Yeah,
my dad was 19 when he left to go to the UK. I'm like, I mean, whatever year I was. And I'm like, I'm going, no, you should go. My mum was fine with it. My dad was like, no, I don't think you should travel, don't you travel. And then I told him where it was. And he's like, oh, yes, that should be fine. That should be
fine. You know, actually, Rhoda, this reminds me, like, actually, one more thing that I wanted to add was I couldn't do nothing when I came here. And you guys are all witnesses to that. Literally, I didn't know how to use the washing machine properly. I didn't know how to cook properly. And I know you're holding it back, Rhoda. I said, look.
You've got better. A lot better.
You are brilliant. You are brilliant.
Thank you very much. I've learned about coasters, and honestly, I couldn't have done that without you guys. Like, the struggle has been so real. I didn't even know there was such a thing as coasters, honestly. Like, but honestly, the independence that you gain and the life skills that you learn from just taking that one leap of faith, that one leap of, you know, just being outside of your comfort zone. And sometimes being in your comfort zone, it isn't always comfortable, you know? And I think that's why I left my comfort zone in the UK. And I thought, you know what? This has been a good change. It has been a really, really good change. And definitely, like Keisha said it so well, like, this experience would have been nowhere near the same without you guys. Like, honestly, it just would not have been. It would have been dry like the desert.
When you're abroad, your friends become your family, and we are a family.
Literally.
You know, we talk about being a family very much, and we behave in that way. You know, when someone's sick, we all rally round and we cook. You know, we know that Rhoda's soup is going to come. We know that Keisha is going to go out and get some lemsip for you. You know, everyone rallies round, probably a bit more than my family would at home. It would be just go to Boots. But here it's like, okay, what do you need? And that is, you know, that level of support really keeps you going. And it's what makes you stay as well. Why would you want to leave your family to go back to your family? It's strange.
100%. Oh, okay, ladies. Well, thank you so much again. And let's just see what the future holds for all of us. And we just pray that it's nothing but greatness and positivity. Yeah, so enjoy the rest of your day, and we will definitely catch up soon. All right. See you, ladies. Bye.
Bye.